Hello everyone, and welcome to our special series about the 2025 Annual Town Meeting. This series is designed to help inform residents about issues that are important to the town. Each segment is about a specific article or group of articles, so make sure you check in to find the issue that's important to you or to learn about all of the issues our town is facing. So the first issue is, do you want to do a consent agenda? That one's easy. The second article relates to hearing town reports. This was important in the past, as many boards and committees would come up and give their annual report. Now we have a single annual report that's issued, and we keep this article in just in case anyone needs to speak. The third article is about the elected salaries of officials. By Mass General Law, you have to vote the salaries of your elected officials. We only have two elected officials that are paid here in town, the moderator and the Board of Assessors, each one. The fourth article is about OPEB. OPEB is other benefits paid to employees, mainly in Carlisle. This refers to health insurance. We have to do a study every couple years to make sure that we are putting enough money aside to meet our liability in the future. This article allows for that funding. The fifth article, which is important to many people, is Chapter 90 authorization. Chapter 90 is money the state gives us to help pave your roads. So you'll really appreciate this money that comes in to help make our paving plan a reality. We're going to talk more about that. Our friends from Minuteman Media will like this next article. It's about PEG funding. So our PEG funding is money that is taken from cable subscribers in town and given to the town to help pay for capital investments and other recordings like the one you're listening to or watching right now. The next article in the consent agenda talks about the town's revolving funds. There are boards and committees in town that have special funds approved by town meeting that allow them to complete town services. Every year, town meeting has to set the maximum they can spend, and this article helps us do that. The next article in the consent agenda is the town's wage and compensation and classification plan, which is a lot of words to say what we pay our non-union employees for working for the town of Carlisle. By bylaw, town meeting has to approve this wage chart, so we've included it in the warrant booklet and in the motions booklet you'll get at town meeting, so you can see exactly what you're authorizing in terms of pay. We have a couple new additions to the consent agenda this year, as the Town Meeting Study Committee decided to add more items to the consent agenda to make town meetings shorter, which everyone will appreciate after several hours of discussing these very important issues. One of them is an abandoned property rule. So this allows us to adopt a Mass General Law that simplifies the process of finding the people who have abandoned property in town and taking in resources for that. Abandoned property normally means checks. So checks we've authorized to vendors and other people. You know this from Find Mass Money and other issues. What we want to do is localize this process in town so that we can keep the money in Carlisle. Two more articles in our consent agenda that are financial in nature are the Prudent Investment Law and our increase in demand fees. Simply put, our Prudent Investment Law allows our town treasurer to invest monies in certain ways as allowed by Mass General Law. Additionally, the treasurer is asking that we increase our demand fee. This is fees paid for people who do not pay their taxes on time. This hasn't been increased in a long time and would allow for more revenue for the town. The last article up for consideration in the consent agenda is something from the HERO Act, which is a law that was passed for veterans. Right now, some of our veterans in town get an abatement on their taxes if they're disabled or meet other qualifying criteria. This act and new law, if adopted by town meeting, would allow us to increase the amount of that abatement for our veterans by CPI annually. Now that we've learned about the articles that are going to be in the consent agenda, we'd like to dive in a little deeper on a couple so that you can understand some of these issues. An article in the consent agenda called Town Reports. Traditionally, folks from boards and committees would get up in front of town meeting and give a report about their activities. This process has changed a little bit, and to better understand it, I brought in an expert. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Gretchen Gallimore. I'm the Executive Assistant to the Select Board and the Town Administrator for the Town of Carlisle. The annual town report has been written and printed for around the last 200 years. Rather than getting up and saying your report at town meeting, we try to move it a little quicker by having it written and prepared for the public and for the boards and committees to have access to before meeting begins, so you can just approve it.
So this doesn't mean that you won't see someone give a town report if they want to, but it has been summarized, as Gretchen said. Do you want to show them if you have them here?
So these are the reports for the last 2 years. This year, we had artwork submitted by students at the Carlisle Public School, and those were incorporated into the annual town report. It's mostly just filling in blank spaces, but the artwork that the students did is really great, and it's so much fun to have all of that color and just makes the report better. It's more entertaining, more interesting.
What was easier, getting the kids to do the art or getting everyone to submit their report on time?
Oh, I got the art 2 months before I needed it, and getting the reports, I got some a month after I needed them.
So people do come and they pick up the report, and we use them all the time, but how long does it take to put the report together?
So for the 2024 annual report, it took me about 3-ish weeks to put the report together in formatting through Word and trying to get the pictures in, and also waiting for some of the reports to come in. It always takes a little while, and we've actually just given the okay to the printer to begin printing them, so we should have them before annual town meeting. But primarily, the town report will be available on the website as a PDF for anyone who would like to look at it.
And most people use it online now. They view it online. However, there are some copies that need to be retained.
Yes.
Who needs to retain them? Is it just the town clerk?
The state archives get 2 copies. Then the town clerk retains at least 2 copies, generally as like a working copy and as a backup copy. And one of those gets bound. Generally, we have like sections of town reports about 4 years at a time that are bound books. Then generally we like keep a handful around.
Yeah, because some residents do want the physical copy.
Because some residents want the physical copy. Most of the time most people access it online, but those are the statutory ones that we have to have. We have to send 2 off to the state. The town clerk has to have at least 2.
This is one of many of the functions that our town staff does that people don't recognize the work that goes through. Gretchen, you do a great job with it. And if you do want a copy to include seeing all the great kid art, kid art, that's the right way to say it, kid art, contact our office and we'll get you one.
Yep.
One of the articles in the consent agenda is the authorization to spend Chapter 90 money. Chapter 90 money is money that comes from the state in order to fund road maintenance. And I know no person in town who's more of an expert on Carlisle road maintenance than my guest here. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is James Hall. I'm the director of the DPW here in Carlisle.
In case anyone wants to know more about your credentials, how long have you been working on Carlisle's roads?
I've been plowing and maintaining Carlisle's roads for 30 plus years now. I think the last time I checked, there was roughly around 59 miles of road in town. So it's quite a bit.
Would you say you know every pothole in town?
Not everyone, because they pop up daily, but I know a lot of them.
All right, so Chapter 90 is the primary funding source for our road maintenance, and this article allows us to spend that money, which I think everybody would want since it comes from the state. But we put together a road maintenance plan so that we are properly stewarding this money. We want to talk about how we created our road maintenance plan here in town.
Okay, I was approached by you a few years ago with the help of an engineering firm, and they went around and rated each road. PCI index is called, pavement condition. And that scale went from basically around the 30s up to 100, where 100 means no maintenance needed, 30 desperately needs maintenance. So we identified quite a few roads. In the past 2 years, we've done about 10 or 12 of those. And this year coming up, we have a small development and a section of West Street that we're doing. And then after that, we're planning on putting together a 5-year plan to address all the issues in town.
And this plan, as you said, comes from the engineers, your experience, the experience of your crew. But we took that extra step, which I'm sure was a little nerve-wracking to you, to bring it to the select board and open it up for community input. Describe that process, how the community was able to add their input and complaints in many cases to the road maintenance plan.
Yeah, I understand and I appreciate all the concern from the residents. A lot of times, roads are prioritized in condition, and if we don't get to your road right away, we're very sorry about that. But it brings to our attention some of the roads that may have been overlooked throughout the process. But I think, with their input, it'll help us further along in our 5-year plan.
Yeah, and some of the roads in town only have a couple houses on them, a couple residents, so it can be difficult to prioritize them because you want to spend money where you can make the most impact. Right. So this year, the select board talked about adding what they're calling heritage roads in order to address some of these roads that might not have been addressed in the last 30 years.
Right. A lot of them, in some instances, I can absorb that through my road maintenance budget, but it always helps with the community input to, direct me in a real trouble spot, or, put it on the Chapter 90 request and then figure out the next 5 years.
So thanks to Jim's hard work and the hard work of our crews, we've identified a 5-year plan. You can find that on our town website. If you go to the town administrator's page, you can see the drafts of the 5-year report. The select board has also agreed to have annual hearings about this road maintenance plan and to hear from their residents, and your support of this consent agenda article and the funding in the capital plan will help us to accomplish this work. So we're looking for your support.
Thank you.
I'm joined by a special guest and expert. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Aubrey Thomas, the Assistant Town Administrator and HR Director.
We're going to talk about a couple of the consent agenda items and get into more detail. And of course, if you need more information about any of the consent agenda items, please reach out. So first, we're going to talk about the compensation and wage classification plan. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, what is this and why do people at town meeting care about it?
Sure, so wage and classification plans make sure that there's consistent pay for all employees and it's transparent. So this makes sure that we're staying compliant with labor laws, that we're managing the budgets responsibly, and that we're attracting qualified staff. By clearly defining the roles and salary ranges, we can make sure that these wage and class plans support equity across the departments, aid in union negotiations, and show the taxpayers exactly how much funds are spent. This makes sure that there's fairness, efficiency, and accountability in local government.
And you've done this for a couple years now.
Yes.
So what is the process of updating this? So this shows up every year at town meeting. There's not a lot of change from year to year. So can you describe the process for people who may be seeing this for the first time or want to know how it's updated?
Absolutely. So with all positions, we make sure that that's the title that we are currently using for that position. And then we're also looking what are the roles and responsibilities for all of these positions. How are they in comparison to each other? What are they? And so that helps with the grade comparatively. And then also we look at comparable towns. So that helps us understand where we are market-wise. And we also, when it comes to labor laws, making sure that there are affordable wages.
Excellent. And I know that we keep this up on the website. Can you share where people can find this plan? It's posted before and after town meeting.
Sure. So not only would it be on the town meeting page with the warrant articles, but it's also on the human resources page, which you can also find on the website. And there's a link on the side.
Thank you for learning more about the articles coming at the 2025 annual town meeting. This year, town meeting is on Sunday, May 18th, and we invite you to come early because there's going to be a food truck starting at 11:30 and childcare for those who need it, so you can both have a great day and attend our town meeting. Also, it's important to note that our election is on June 3rd this year, and several of the articles you've heard about have votes tied to them that will come up during the election. Lastly, we know people digest information in many different ways, and this series is designed to help you with that. We have this video and podcast series. We also encourage you to follow our social media. We'll be posting a lot of information about these articles. And lastly, for those who need it, you can request in-person meetings or paper copies of anything we've discussed so that you can be properly informed. Again, thank you for learning more, and if you need any more help, please contact our staff at any time.